This video is to give you an overview into Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. I'm going to focus on overview features with functionality that extends across the system rather than into any particular module. So let's get started. When a user logs in, they arrive on their homepage. The homepages can be set up based on user roles. So a salesperson might see something that's quite different to someone who processes purchase orders. Each of these can be set up with any of these parts that are on here in an optional way. So we've got different list functions where you're getting dashboard functionality to tell you the sorts of things you've got going on in the system. And all of these are interactive, so you can click into any one of these and find the list that makes up the number underneath. There's a few different insights and business performance type indicators you can do. You can embed some Power BI reports, set up some favorite lists, all sorts of little pieces on the front. The reality is a lot of day-to-day users won't use a lot of these features. So while they look really good, they are just there as an indicator. So from the home page, there's a number of different things we can do. We can use the menus to navigate the system. So I can pop under the finance and see different shortcut menus in here. I can pop into the background here and see all the menus, and I'll go there shortly. You can have shortcuts to take you to some of your favorite places. Or you can actually simply come up to the search function and search for what you want. So if I want to go to sales invoices, I do a search on it and go to the sales invoice page. Very easy for users to navigate the system. So if I delve into the background here, in my menu, I can then start to see the sorts of things that are assigned to me by default as a business manager. So as a business manager, these are the functions that are deemed to be important to my role. But depending on my security setup in the background, and security can be set up at a very granular level, you can go to a level of users who enter journals aren't allowed to post them and all of that sort of thing. You can get very granular. So take that as given that if you don't want someone to be able to do something, you'll be able to stop them. If I go into explore more roles, this is now taking me to a menu that shows me everything, and everywhere there's a number in brackets means that there's something else underneath and I can expand the menu. So just having a look at the top level, you can see that we've got some general administrative functions. There's purchasing, there's a level of warehousing, finance functions and cash management. We've got some stuff around resources. There's a piece around sales and marketing, and there's a level of CRM within the system. Not a full-on CRM, but a cut-down version. You can get into some manufacturing and into service and human resources as well. So there's quite a bit of core functionality. There's 2 licensing levels associated with Business Central. The Essentials license gives you the majority of what you need for a day-to-day business. The Premium licensing adds on some extended manufacturing and some extended service components. So let's go back to the home page. Right, another neat feature. We saw it before when we went into the sales invoices, but I'm going to use my customer list as a basis. So if I go to my customers, all card windows, all transactional windows, everything works based on a list feature. So from the list, I can drill into and open the record associated with that list. Within a list, I can turn on a filter pane. And you can see that I've got a few different things going on in my filter pane. So I can filter the list by and select some items. I can filter the totals by, and within here it might be that you're only wanting the filters for a specific date range or a date ending range, and so forth. I can, with my drop down menus, I can filter to add the filter in here, or filter to this value, so it will immediately only show me the value that I filtered on. And clear my filter. We can use ranges. So I might want a date filter range where I'm then saying, let's go from the 1st of January 2021 through to the 31st of December 2021. We can use things like in the number, we could say AA star and it's going to give me everything that starts with AA. We could go star AA star, and that would give me everything that contains AA anywhere in the name, or in the number in this case. You've also got some very decent search functionality. So if I take all my filters off right now, just flick out of one and back to another. So looking at the same area, we've got some searches. So if I want to search for, so I know that somewhere or other central is in the name, then I can just type the word central and it's looking right across. So we've got one here where central's in the middle and one where central is in the beginning. If I know that the person's name is Mary, okay, so it's picked up these two because the contact name on the card is Mary, and it's picked up this one because Mary is in the name of the customer. So there's some really good search functionality. Another really strong feature in Business Central is the ability to personalize screens. And I'll show this to you here in this list screen, but it applies to every screen in the system. Data entry screens, inquiry screens, home screens, we can personalize. And when we personalize, we can open up a field pane, and from here we can see what other fields are available. And let's pick up the currency code, and we can drag it into the list. And anything that had a currency code populated would then be showing. If we don't want these fields, then I can just hit the arrow and hide it. I can move fields around just by picking up and dragging and dropping. So what that means is each user can set up the windows to suit them. So you might have, for example, the same people entering purchase orders. One might be doing it for inventory and one might be doing it for non-inventory. So there might be fields that the inventory users are needing to populate, like shipping information and all of that sort of thing, where you don't need to do that in a service purchase order. So different functions. That's a really strong feature that a lot of users like. The other thing we can do from a number of windows within the system, and customers is one of them, is we can use this function here to share in a different way. So we've got some options to share things out to teams, but these are the two that are the most useful. Open in Excel, and what that will do is open the view you've currently got on screen. So if you've applied filters, whatever the columns are that you're showing on screen, that is what will open in Excel. If you use Edit in Excel, it's going to take out your whole list. And this is a really strong feature of Business Central. So I've got my customer list coming out. It's populating directly into Excel, and you can see we've got this little pane opening on the right hand side. That is the connector pane. All right, so my data is loaded. Now it is doing exactly what it says, edit in Excel. So it does mean that I can change a name here. I could just put a limited on the back of here, and I could publish it back. And if we look back in Business Central and refresh it, and head up to the top to the B's, we can see there we've got Berry Medical Centre Limited, and it's published straight back. So that means maintenance of your data is actually quite easy if you're needing to do a bit of a tidy up on some of your card files. That makes it really easy. It also means that you can do things like publish journals from templates out of Excel. You can just have your template there. You've constructed the journal in whatever way you want because you've got some templates already in Excel, and you can just paste it into your template and publish back. The design feature in here allows you to change things around. So you can actually just add tables from other data sources. So these are all the different data sources you can use Edit in Excel with back into Business Central. Okay, so there's a number of functions in there. You can if you're not changing the data source, you can come into this data source here, and so the customer card, I can edit it in the pencil, and I can see what columns have not been included in the file, and I can add those in, or I can move some out. You can also apply filters. So I'm just going to done. So if you are only wanting to see a certain number of filters, we can clear the filter here, and then we can add a filter in. So you might want to do a range or just some individual customers. You might only want to look at those that are in Auckland versus those that are in Wellington. So you can apply filters and then refresh the data in here. So this is quite a powerful tool. There is a number of data entry things that are quite nice and quick. So if we come into let's just pick up a sales invoice. Any old sales invoice, I'm going to go into one that's already there. Okay, what you find is that if you are in a field, so if I'm in my item field, I can start typing, and it doesn't have to be the item number. It might be that I'm looking for a phone, and that's automatically going to drop down my item listing with all of my phones, so I can pick up the phone that I want. It's just giving me a warning for a shipment date that is passed. The other thing that you can do within your data entry is F8 is a nice little shortcut that will copy the line above. So if you've got something going down the page where all the data is the same, it makes it nice and easy just to copy the field above. We can delete lines and manage lines and all of that sort of thing. You can also paste, copy and paste. So if you're in your finance journals, for example, you might have some journal templates in Excel, and as long as your columns in Excel are lined up in the same way as your columns in the screen, then you can take data out of Excel, copy the data, and simply paste it into the window to populate your journal. Journals are done across the system, so you can have customer and vendor transactions happening from your general ledger level. So if you've got imports happening from other systems because actually your main customer management is in a point of sale system or otherwise, you can actually just bring things in via journal to update their accounts if you're not having to send out a tax invoice style document out of Business Central because it's handled elsewhere. So you've got some really good flexibility around journal functions as well. So I'm going to leave it there on this video. It just gives you a general overview into some of those usability features of the system. There's a huge amount of functionality within each of the modules, and we'll cover some of those off in some additional videos.